And I'm a cousin from around the road there, have a house around there. So I used to start bad. I said, Jesus, judgment, judgment. When you come out, that's how we see the place just tear away.
Welcome back, One Love Jamaica family. Today I'm in the parish of St. Mary. I'm currently standing in the community of Georgia here in St. Mary and in the vicinity of, just behind me as you can see, the Westmoreland Bridge, which this bridge was reconstructed or rebuilt in 2013 due to the damage of the original bridge, I think in about 2008, that was destroyed by Gustav. I think it was a tropical system, a hurricane. I'll basically update that when I'm editing. But here we're looking at this nice, beautiful bridge built here. And across the road, you can see some information. It says this bridge was built by the government of Jamaica under the Jamaica Development Infrastructure Program, completed August 2013. Loan financed by the People's Republic of China through the China Exim Bank. The contractor was China Harbour Engineering Company Limited. So yeah, people, although this is not necessarily the main reason for me to be in St. Mary today, but it's also important to just give you that historical fact. But I'm trying to get to the community of Aleppo in St. Mary, not Aleppo in Syria, Aleppo in St. Mary, Jamaica. Now this community is a community that is known for all sections of the community sinking over time. The last time I've been to this community was probably about 5 years ago, but I originally discovered this community almost 2 decades ago when I went to a section and just basically what residents told me at the time, that a section of the community just sank. Well, I do hope you learned something from this video.
For years, the quiet communities of northern St. Mary lived with a daily reminder of nature's power and infrastructure fragility. The Westmoreland Bridge, once a vital crossing near Georgia, was swept away during a severe flooding in 2008, cutting off a key route across the Wogwater River. What followed was just not an inconvenience, but a disruption to everyday life. Farmers faced longer journeys to market. Students traveled extra miles to reach school. Emergency services were forced to take long detours, turning minutes into critical delays. The bridge's absence exposed how deeply rural Jamaica depends on small but strategic pieces of infrastructure. In August 2013, after years of uncertainty, the Westmoreland Bridge was officially reopened, built stronger and higher. The new structure was designed to withstand the very floods that destroyed its predecessor. For residents, its return marked more than the completion of a project. It signaled restored access, renewed confidence, and reconnection. Spanning the Wogwater River, the bridge now safely links communities such as Georgia, Highgate, and surrounding districts, re-establishing a crucial corridor for commerce, education, and daily movement. Today, the Westmoreland Bridge stands as a quiet symbol of recovery. It is not a monument or a tourist landmark, but a working structure, carrying produce, school buses, and families day after day. In a parish shaped by rivers and rainfall, its story serves as a reminder: when infrastructure fails, communities feel it immediately, and when it is rebuilt with care and foresight, the impact lasts for generations.
So just for context, for some who may be seeing the river here, this is the Wogwater, which runs in another direction towards the sea here in St. Mary. So just for persons who are maybe not aware, yes, that's the Wogwater River that I would have just crossed over. This is the direction that you drive to go to if you want to go to Highgate, and I also think to Richmond, although there are other ways that you could use. You could have used an alternate route through the junction, but I chose to use the original way, which I would have driven past communities like Broadgate just before getting here. And I think this roadway that we're currently driving on, this is the Trovy to Claremont Road here in St. Mary. I should be in the community of Aleppo maybe in another 5 to 10 minutes. I've not been there for a while, so I don't fully remember in terms of travel time, but I'm guessing I'm still relatively close to the community. And you can see on the roadway, you see a few persons out today. Today is actually Boxing Day here in Jamaica, so it's another public holiday. And persons tend to just relax in the rural areas. And I guess like right across Jamaica, persons tend to go to rivers or the beach today. Today I just choose to have another drive out. There's a gentleman here on the side of the road preparing some soup, and a lady just about to make a purchase. We're just going through. There's a nice beautiful shop to your right. This is the Bayside Lounge, as the sign says on the outside, and you see another shop here, the young man sitting beside a Glean and Star stand. Now a man just passed a gentleman who's doing some painting to, I'm assuming, the church he attends. I see these two young men making their way up the hillside. You know, I always like to come to these rural areas. You know, the scenery is always beautiful, and you know, the air is much better. You know, less noise. All of the city noise, you know, just tired of that. I personally am annoyed when I, you know, with to deal with all of the noise that comes with living, with urban living. I don't know about you, maybe some of you share the same sentiment. And see, we're going through a very beautiful looking square here in St. Mary. I think we should be taking a left turn here. So you can see here, this is the Aleppo Road, Alleppo. So we're basically we have just arrived to the community of Aleppo. So One Love Jamaica family, we're basically searching for a section of the community called Aleppo Heights. I think this is the intersection where they said I should take the right turn, and they said that the road is closed here according to the sign. You'll see it over here on your left hand. So this is where we went to trek to go up to Aleppo Heights. Hello, ma'am. So One Love Jamaica family. I just spoke to a lady there. Her name is Miss D, and she told me that I must just continue on this track until I get to a section where basically the road would be cut off. So and she was, you know, talking a little bit about the whole situation. I remember it happened almost 2 decades ago from my memory, and it maybe more, maybe less. And also another area that was affected, a community called Whitehall, which is more closer to the coast, you know. So, you know, it was a very, very frightening thing for residents at the time. I remember they just woke up and just saw it. Everybody was wondering if there was some kind of earthquake, but the people didn't really feel anything like such. More than just get up and just saw a section of the community just sink. So One Love Jamaica family, I'm finally just meters away from the particular area that I described here in the community of Aleppo. Deep rural St. Mary. It was a little bit more difficult than I thought it was to find, but just got some helpful information from a community member in terms of where I should walk to enter the particular area safely. So let me just turn this around so you all have a better view as I make this trek up the hill here in the community. It seems as if there was some rain earlier on. The ground is wet and it's very muddy, but it's a very thick, almost kind of clay-like conditions underground, under feet. So I'm going to make my way up here. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Not bad, sir.
You're well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. And I can hear like some birds, you know, cawing in the background. He said, here's the mango tree. He said I should take a left turn here. This is carrying me through the path. You probably can hear them somewhere there in the background. And I tell you that for the community members here, this is something that they will never ever forget, I think. I think the last time I came here, there was this house that was abandoned and maybe a few other properties. But when we get further down, we'll see what everything looks like now. After decades. Oh, and I can tell you, it's really very, very sticky under feet. So I have to be very careful. And we see here a tree in the path. I'm assuming this is a result of Hurricane Melissa. Take my time now, see? I almost slipped. Oh, Thank goodness I have a little bit of agility still left in the whole body. Oh, yep. See some nice, beautiful plants here. They would do well in my garden, to be honest. Dogs must be wondering, who is this strange man here heading down? So this leads us, let me see, to the left here if it carry me back to the section that sunk a few decades ago. And it was one of the strangest things, as I said, a lot of people, there is a scientific explanation which I will get you when I'm doing the voiceover. But in terms of just the walkthrough now, I'm going to see how I can get down this hillside here. It is rather steep. Oh, it look like persons have been, I don't know how persons, or at least some animals look like it's probably dogs and so. But this is a section of the area that sunk. I don't think I'm going to take the risk here because I don't see anything where I can hold on. So let me just make my way back up through this area. I probably need to get a piece of stick and that would help me. Yeah. So, ooh, another slip. Yep. Whew. All right. Let me take my time. I'll just stick to the main road or the main path. In this area, it doesn't make any sense for me to take any more risk than I need to. So here now we are in a section where you see some, not concrete, but asphalt road. So I'm assuming this is the other side. So the roadway would have broken off in the middle there. And this would be, I'm assuming, the other part of the community. So I think I may have to turn back and head to the area where I was struggling earlier on. Just to figure out how to get down to see some of the area that was originally destroyed and see what it looks like now. You see? Thank God I'm a sneakers person. But the area, the community is very quiet apart from some music that we hear being played by some kind of sound system in the background there. And I guess that the motor vehicle traffic has to come from another direction because they couldn't drive the same direction where I drove. Because as you see, that road, that section of the road, it was cut away. So this house looks like one of those food for the poor houses. You know, food for the poor tend to have a very kind of unique design when it comes to their buildings. Someone did their laundry earlier on and hung out everything. Making my way up on the hillside now. Let's give another further look at the community here in St. Mary. There are not many, virtually there's no one around. I'm assuming everybody's probably on the inside or out. As I said, it's a holiday. I was able to find a strong piece of stick here. I'm going to try my luck again to see how much further I'm able to get. But this place is now very heavily bushed up. Yeah, this makes a big difference now with me attempting to go down the hill here. And this looks like I'm at an apple tree. Yes, this is very helpful here. Let me see how much further I can get here. I wouldn't, you know, Please be very careful if you decide to go on similar treks like these people. You know, it may not be worth it, but you know me, I'm going to kind of push the limits on things. So the worst I see can happen is that I probably just fall down in the mud, hoping not to. I know my shoes is going to be wrecked. Yes, I've been able to make it down to a particular level here for you. One love, family. And I can tell you, it's very exhausting. It takes a toll on the body. So one love, family. Let me take my stick up and continue my trek. I can tell you that it's extremely tiring here, struggling in this very hard clay-like soil. But you know, I can't come this far and not get to at least that old abandoned house in the area here. So, I'm just turning it back around for you to see where I'm headed. So imagine all of this area years ago was probably 20 to 30 feet higher. Yes, believe you me. And I think this is one of those houses you can see now taken over by nature, walls cracked open. As you can see, you know, trees growing through it and all of that because it has been unoccupied. Here's another section here. A lot of this area now, you know, well, obviously does not look anywhere like it looked back then, just because of all of the bush cover now in the area. Here's another building. That was me sleeping again. And also, whoa, no. One love Jamaica family, yes, I finally went to ground. So here's where some graves are that were displaced in the community back then. And yes, I'm okay. Apart from a little bruise into my finger, I'm doing okay. Wow. So here's just a look at the area. Oh, place is totally unrecognizable to me. I'm going to go back, see if I can make my way just up this section of the hill here. Oh, this has been tough. But you know me, stubborn on me. Yes, and my wife also would probably give me a bit of a tongue lashing. So you listen to me, you're not young again. You're just living with all those memories of your fit days. So look here, you can see where sections of the foundations were moved. We're looking on the inside here. See if I can clear out. Just to give you a look on the inside. This is what it looks like. So you can see. So it's the inside of this home. I'm going to see if I can go around to another side. And this look like the cocoa plant. I remember as a youngster, my grandfather did a bit of farming, and when for example, where I lived in Spanish Town, when we go to pick up like pepper and stuff from my grandfather, I would go on the banks of the canal. Me and my friend them probably, you know, idle boys, we catch some fish, we dig up the roots, and we boil some cocoa. Because we always have pots and pans and so hidden in some kind of bushy area that we normally regular go to, especially to swim. I'm going to try to find my way to make my way to another side of this place. But obviously some kind of farming goes on here because somebody would have cut down these banana or plantain trees after reaping the Hana banana or the bunch of banana here in the community of Aleppo. So this was the area that I slipped earlier. I'm hope to God that it doesn't, there isn't a reoccurrence. But yeah, let's go. Okay, I can see where I slipped right there. Dig my toes in. Yes. Whoa. Here's another look at the house. See if I can go in a little bit closer. And we can see light peering through this section. And you can see flora and the fauna is taking over all of this here. Ooh. Here, you can look through this frame. Here are dominated by plant life, with very little human disturbance in this area. I'm going to make my way around to another side. Hopefully be much safer for me this time. So when I came here, I made the right turn which carried me that way. I'm going to go up here, closer to where I hear the sounds coming from the birds. And you can see other signs here of buildings that were just destroyed overnight. So I'm currently walking on what would have been a wall. Make my way further up. You hear that? It's very close. That was very close. I guess I kind of frightened the bird off with my presence. And here you can, if you look carefully there, another frame for a window of one of the two houses that I was able to look at earlier. Now this area, you can see that there's a little bit of footpath, so you can see that it is occasionally used by persons to move about here. I hope I'm not upsetting that bird. Hope I'm not upsetting that bird. Whoa. Yes, so this is another section of the community where it's closer to where I had spoken to the gentleman earlier. Trust me. Whew. This is more than a workout for me. Hopefully I can close my exercise rings by the time I leave here. Whew. But this is an example of nature never being defeated. No matter what we do as mankind, we have to try to do things in conjunction with nature. Because when nature is ready, nature will just take back whatever belongs to it.
For residents of Aleppo Heights in St. Mary, the danger did not arrive with roaring winds or overflowing rivers. It came quietly, after sustained rainfall, when the ground beneath the community began to shift. In 2009, following heavy rains, a landslide tore through parts of Aleppo, triggering the collapse of land roads and homes. Houses were destroyed and sections of the Whitehall main road, which is an adjoining community, gave way, cutting off parts of Aleppo to vehicular traffic and leaving residents isolated. The damage was sudden and severe. Ground that had appeared stable for years began to sink. Roadways fractured and collapsed. Access routes disappeared, forcing residents to rely on alternate paths and making emergency response difficult. The incident was not an isolated failure, but a clear warning. According to the Port Maria Community Disaster Risk Management Plan, Aleppo sits in an area that is highly susceptible to landslides, particularly during periods of heavy or prolonged rainfall. The community is located on sloping terrain with weak soil layers, where water saturation reduces the earth's ability to hold together. When intense rainfall seeps into the ground, it increases pressure within the soil. Slopes begin to lose stability. Gravity takes over. The result is land slippage that can occur without warning, destroying homes and infrastructure in minutes. In the years following the 2009 collapse, the risk remained. Subsequent ground movement in the wider Aleppo Heights area would later damage additional homes and roadways, reinforcing concerns that the terrain itself is unstable and vulnerable to repeat failure. The disaster plan ranks landslides lower than hurricanes and flooding in overall frequency, but it emphasizes that where landslides occur, their impact is often catastrophic. Roads collapse, homes are lost, and entire communities can be cut off for days. Aleppo's experience reflects a broader national issue across Jamaica. Communities built on hillsides, riverbanks, and unstable ground face similar threats. Poor drainage, deforestation, and development in unsuitable areas have increased the likelihood of land failure, while heavier rainfall events have added further pressure. The plan warns that without retaining walls, proper drainage system, slope stabilization, and strict enforcement of no-build zones, communities like Aleppo remain at risk. The lesson from Aleppo is a sobering one. Disasters do not always announce themselves with dramatic force. Sometimes they arrive slowly, as rain soaks into the earth day after day, until the land itself can no longer hold. When it gives way, the damage is immediate, devastating, and often permanent.
See if I can fight my way through this now. You think I'm able to climb inside here? I think I can. So now that the camera is safely secured here, I'm gonna take my time. I wonder if this limb is able to hold my weight. All right, I got one foot up. Ah, made it. Whoa. Oh, that was tough. That was tough. That was tough. Yeah. So here, this was a one-room dwelling. Again, something else that was destroyed. So from what I've seen here, there are 3 houses that I can identify. There may be more. What would be interesting to know is what has happened to these families since then. Oh, and the kind of stories that they would tell. Because I want to, get more kind of re-engaged with the story. I've forgotten a lot of it now. What happened? What did the house feel like if somebody was in it at the time? And if they're not, what did they, how did they feel when they came and they saw this? So Earl, tell me about what is your experience when you came and saw what happened here in the community in terms of a section of the community being sunken.
Okay, the rain was falling for about 3 weeks, and we saw a crack in the road. And I called my cousin because he wasn't at home. He was in Kingston. So I called him and tell him, I said, boy, the house coming like a coffin and go down in a hole. Because when you look right on the house, you can see the opening. So me and my cousin today till about 11 o'clock at night, and we put a piece of stick inside the crack with a digital sign on it and say, all right, we want to see if it's going to go further. In the morning, now we hear beer balling. And my cousin from around the road, have a house around there, so we can start ball. I said, Jesus, judgment, judgment. When we come out, that's how we see the place just tear away,
Yes,
like a mystery,
yes.
for real. And all up to now is what, 2025, up to now, nobody come and do nothing to it.
Yes.
We have to still walking on board same way.
So how many houses were down in that area?
One house sink.
So it's one house sink and split up in three?
One house sink and two more on that side.
Okay, so it's 3 houses?
3 houses.
Three houses sink, yeah,
Yeah.
because I know I saw 3 different buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So so what about your relatives? Because you said it was your cousin that owned the house. Where are they living now?
They are living in Kingston.
Yeah. So they decided to just move from St. Mary after
Yeah,
that?
yeah, because the land space don't they for them do anything. And they get a house and make it up right out closer. But that man come and buy out the land,
Yes.
and build him house. So eventually they have to
So
stay
basically,
Kingston.
usually when you come here, just one straight road that would
One
lead you straight
road straight to Nearmount.
to Marymount.
Yeah, and I want to tell you that not even a year since we get the road break off, no? Not even a year. We were waiting for it from the grandfather born.
Yes. And as soon as it built,
Soon as it built, not even a year it lasts.
For Earl Prendergast, a 63-year-old resident of Aleppo, the memory of that collapse is still clear. He recalls how the shifting land did not only break roads and houses, but lives. One of his cousins lost their property entirely and was forced to leave the community, eventually relocating to Kingston and starting over after everything they knew gave way beneath their feet. What made the loss even harder, he remembers, was that the road which collapsed had been recently constructed in use for barely a year before it sank. What was meant to improve access instead became a reminder that building alone is not enough when the land itself is unstable. Aleppo's story is not just a local tragedy, it is a warning for communities across Jamaica, from hillside districts to river valleys, that development must go hand in hand with drainage, slope protection, and respect for the land's limits. Roads, homes, and communities are only as strong as the ground beneath them, because when the land speaks, Jamaica must listen and build wisely.